Summary of Discourse 9. Mantra 11. One knows the Atma by Anvaya Vyatireka, the method of presence and absence. In the waking state, the body, senses, mind, and intellect are present and active. The Atma is present as witness. The dream state replays the impressions of the waking state. The body, senses, and intellect are absent and dormant. The mind is present and active. It replays the impressions randomly. The Atma is present as witness. In the deep sleep state, the body, senses, mind, and intellect are all absent and dormant. Only vasanas, primal ignorance, remains. All knowledge and experience are absent. The Atma is present as witness. The Atma that is present in all states alone is real. I am that Atma. Is not the waking state more real than the other states? No. Each state is valid in itself alone. Each state is absent in other states. The waker is not the dreamer. The dreamer is not the sleeper. The sleeper is not the waker. The Atma alone is present in all states. The Atma identifying with the waker is Vishwa. Identifying with the dreamer is Taijasa. Identifying with the sleeper is Prajna. Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna identities keep changing. The Atma, I am, remains the same. How to understand Anvaya Vyatireka? The three states exist in Vyavaharika Satta, the plane of transactional reality. They do not exist in Paramarthika Satta, the plane of absolute reality. In the intermediate state of Pratibhasika Satta, we realize the illusory nature of all experience. Our experiences are only as real as we take them to be. Parable. Janak Maharaj to Ashtavakra Muni, am I a king dreaming that I am a beggar? Or am I a beggar dreaming that I am a king? Ashtavakra Muni, you're neither. You're the Atma that gives existence to both. This is the paradigm shift in Vedanta. We take only the waking state to be real. The Upanishad says both waking and dream states are equally unreal. The non-apprehension of truth in sleep leads to the misapprehension of truth in waking and dream. I am not the waker or the dreamer or the sleeper. I am the Atma beyond all states. Is there only one Atma? The self that experiences and remembers in Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna is one. Illustration. Whether king or commoner, billionaire or beggar, deep sleep is exactly the same to all. Undifferentiated absence of knowledge and experience. Eka sarvatra gacchati. Just as numeral 1 is present in all numerals, the one Atma is present in everything. In the waking state, we can do sadhana of negation and affirmation to go beyond the three states to realize the fourth, Turiya, the substratum of all states, the Atma, I am. Mantra 12. If Atma is one, why do I perceive plurality and diversity? The Atma is one, but it is reflected differently by different creatures. The differences belong to the creatures, not the Atma. The moon is reflected differently in the water in pots, drums, wells, and lakes. The moon remains one. The differences are in the reflecting medium. This is Pratibimbavada, the theory of reflection. If the Atma is one in all, when one person realizes the truth, all should realize the truth. Clean water will reflect the moon clearly. Dirty water will not. The one Atma is in all creatures, but not all minds can reflect it. Pujya Gurudev used to say, God sleeps in stone, breathes in plants, lives in animals, but awakens in humans. Mantras 13 and 14. If Atma is one, why do I perceive plurality and diversity? The space in a pot appears to be different from total space. The reality is there is no difference. Space is one. When the pot breaks, the pot space is not broken, only the pot's form is broken. When the pot is moved, the pot space does not move, only the pot's form moves. Space is not affected by changes in form and name. Pot space and total space are ever the same. This is Avachedavada, the theory of appearance.
So long as you have no great opinion and understand the sanctity and sacredness of yourself, you will not have any enthusiasm to follow spiritual path. So in the very beginning of spiritual study, you all must realize the preciousness of this chance that nature has given to you as a human being. First, worship yourself. I am holy. I am pure. I am clean. Then I dare go to Him in worshiping. Surrender. Why do you leave your home and come all the way here? Shatajanma Kodi Sukrita. Good things that you have done unconsciously. For 10 crores of life. Not one life, 10 crores of life. And the product of it is this evolution, this hunger, thirst in your mind to understand something about Vedanta. Without that, it is not a thing that you can just purchase, go to the market, moksha deva, mukti, 1 ounce mukti. It's not a transaction. It's not a marketable product. It is an evolution. It's not a magic. The Guru touched me and I became. When the Guru's touch gone, you became as before. It's not that. It is not by your own effort. It is an evolution. It's a very rare chance, O student, that you are feeling the hunger and the thirst and you have sought a teacher. That Brahman, the highest reality alone, is you, the individualized egos. All of them with tears all the time. Suffering. Physically suffering, emotionally butchered, intellectually crushed. Utter tragedy. This jiva, this conscious individuality in you who is suffering the sorrows of the world is nothing but infinite blissful state of pure consciousness. Brahmaiva jiva. So long as you are limited entity, you suffer. Those of you who have tried to borrow your younger brother's shoes, it is half a point number less. That's all. Just squeeze your leg inside for interview. Why? The leg is paining. 1 number less. But you squeezed in all right. That shoe is so painful. This akhanda, one without a second, the universal reality is your true nature. And you have pushed it into this 40-inch chest, 5.5 feet high. And you squeeze it. Who are you? I am this body. You need not walk thereafter. Only push the foot in it and sit down. Suffer continuously. If one number less you suffer, the infinite Lord who is all pervading the entire substratum of the whole cosmos, you are squeezed it in your understanding that I am this stupid body. Swamiji, why? The whole world is unhappy. Yes, because of the small shoes. To awake to that higher state of consciousness and realize that I am infinite, eternal, immutable, changeless, permanent, pure consciousness, mass of Sat Chit Anand. But how do you know that there is a Brahman like that? One without a second, with nothing else in that world. How do you know it? Really, neither the teacher can say that, yes, I know it, nor can anybody say. What is the pramanam? Shrutaya pramanam. It is the Shruti is the authority on which we assume or accept at this moment. We have no experience, but we accept their statement. Just as the scientists say so, we accept it. So Shastra, just as physics or any statement of scientific statement, its authority is the textbook. Einstein said so. Therefore, you accept. In the same way, Shruti Pramanam is for this idea that there is such an infinite reality in the depths of your personality. Identify with it and end all your sorrows and sense of limitation.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 मनो हि द्विविधं प्रोक्तम् शुद्धं चाशुद्धमेव च अशुद्धं कामसङ्कल्पं शुद्धं कामविवर्जितम् मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बन्धमोक्षयोः बन्धाय विषयासक्तं मुक्तं निर्विषयं स्मृतम् यतो निर्विषयस्यास्य मनसो मुक्तिरिष्यते अतो निर्विषयं नित्यं मनः कार्यं मुमुक्षुणा निरस्तविषयासङ्गं सन्निरुद्धं मनो हृदि यदा यात्यात्मनो भावम् तदा तत्परमं पदम् तावदेव निरोधव्यं यावत् हृदि गतं क्षयम् एतत् ज्ञानं च ध्यानं च शेषो न्यायश्च विस्तरः नैव चिन्त्यं न चाचिन्त्यं न चिन्त्यं चिन्त्यमेव तत् पक्षपातविनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा स्वरेण सन्धयेत् योगम् अस्वरं भावयेत् परम् अस्वरेणानुभावेन भावो वा भावयिष्यति तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते ध्रुवम् निर्विकल्पमनन्तं च हेतुदृष्टान्तवर्जितम् अप्रमेयमनादिं च यज्ञात्वा मुच्यते बुधः न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यो जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रयव्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते एक एव हि भूतात्मा भूते भूते व्यवस्थितः एकधा बहुधा चैव दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत् घटसंवृतमाकाशं नीयमाने घटे यथा घटो नीयेतनाकाशः तथा जीवो न भोपमः घटवत् विविधाकारं भिद्यमानं पुनः पुनः तद्भग्नं न च जानाति स जानाति च नित्यशः
Hari Om to everyone. Pranams to Swamiji and welcome to the 10th talk of Amritabindu Upanishad. Sorry we had to cut off the chanting due to limited time. We'll start with the invocation. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् I will quickly call out the names of all the Yajmans. The Sampurna Yajmans for this Amritabindu Upanishad are Sri Chittur Manohar, Srimati Jolly Silvipat, Srimati Nirja Birla, Srimati Radha Kini. The Sampurna Upayajmans are Srimati Chitra N. Vora, Srimati Kalpana Morparia, Sri Kishore Mallapur, Srimati Kumud Gyanendra Mishra, Srimati Preeti Saxena, Srimati Sumitra Patel. The Dainik Yajmans are Srimati Usha C. Ograni, Sri V.V. Sundar. The Aarti Yajman for this talk is Sri Suresh Tharoor. I request Swamiji to continue with the discourse now.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Hari Om, salutations to all. So we saw in the Amritabindu Upanishad two different vadas which are given. Pratibhimbavad is the theory of reflection and Avachedavad is the theory of limitation. Both have different implications, and there is one common learning that the self, though being one, why does it appear as many? So the moon reflecting in many pots of water, though it is one, appears as many. The reflection appears as many. Same way, the pot, the space is only one. There is no division in the space. There is no limitation in the space. But if that pot is created or a room is created, then there is a limitation. Then there is Ghatakash inside. The pot inside has a pot space, and then outside there is the Mahakash. But that division is only apparent, it is not real. The pot is in space, inside space, outside space is the same, there is no difference. And the pot moves also in space only. Now this analogy, we have to also understand the implication here is, if the pot thinks of it, if the space which is indivisible, indestructible, thinks of itself as limited pot space because of identification with the pot, then it appears that there are hundreds and thousands of pot spaces. Then the pot space as though will have its own sorrow, that now I am destroyed. When the pot is destroyed, I am destroyed and all that. But the fact is, the space has never become divided as pot space and outer space. And the destruction of pot will not destroy the space at all. Same way, this body is like an apparent pot. The self is the same. There is no inside and outside separate. This inside and outside is only with reference to body. The self inside we say and the self outside we say is only because we are identified with the body. There is no inside self separate from outside self. There is one self only. That is infinite consciousness. That consciousness is our true nature. To explain that, this analogy is taken up. Ghatavat vividhakaram vidyamanam punah punaha. So the pots can be of different sizes, shapes, etc. And this pots, when they are broken, tad bhagnam na cha janati sajanati cha nityashaha. The individual may feel that, okay, with the destruction of the pot, I am destroyed, but that is not true. The wise man knows that nothing happens to the self. It is unborn, unchanging, undying. Now, the point to also understand here is this, that space here is compared to the self, which is infinite consciousness, which is Brahman. Space is not Brahman. Why? See, space comes closest to Brahman. The infinite consciousness, space comes the closest as though. Because the space is the subtlest element. The subtler an element is, the more pervasive it is and lesser qualities it will have. And what is the meaning of space? That which accommodates everything. That is called space. Avakashatvat akashaha. So everything is in space. But you cannot see, hear, taste, smell, touch space. The grossest element is earth. We can see, hear, taste, smell, touch. So though space is all pervasive, it is not Brahman because it is inert, it is an element. And being an element, it changes. Also, the space depends on the mind. Mind is enlivened by consciousness. When the mind is not there, we don't experience this space. Like in the dream state, we don't experience this space. There is a different space we experience there, where we create the dream world. The dream space happens there. And in deep sleep, it disappears. There is no space. But consciousness or Brahman is there in all the three states. And same, no change. So consciousness is sentient, space is inert. Consciousness is there in all the three states. Space is not there in all the three states. Consciousness is changeless. Space is changing. Consciousness does not depend on space. Space depends on consciousness. And so we have to understand this, that this space is only a projection of the mind. Consciousness is not a projection of the mind. Space and consciousness both depend on this I. Space and mind both depend on this I, the true consciousness. And hence, the purpose of this analogy is to make us understand this, that we are that indestructible consciousness. See, at the time of Pralaya, space also goes back, merges. So it is not in that way indestructible at all times. It is indestructible relatively. Compared to the destruction in the world, space remains. Planets can come and go, stars can be born and gone, but space is there. From that standpoint, it is relatively indestructible. When pot is destroyed, space is not destroyed. So in reference to pot, space is indestructible, but not the true indestructibility, which is beyond time, where past, present, and future also are not there. Their space will not be there. Space and time, they will work together. That's why it's called space-time continuum. If there's time, there has to be space. If there's space, there will be time. And both depend on the mind. If mind is not there, both will not be there, like in deep sleep state. No mind, so no space, no time. So our nature is that infinite consciousness which is beyond time, beyond space also. So for a student of Vedanta, if one wants to train the mind in making it subtle, one of the deepest, one of the methods of contemplation is to think about space. What exactly is space? And it's very fascinating if you go by science, even the description of science. Today, science, some of the scientists are saying possibly space is an element. Earlier they said space is only that which in which everything is. Today they are saying no, space also is possibly an element and it also changes. Especially those who are, astrophysicists and all of them, and they speak about this. So our nature is that infinite consciousness, and that consciousness is one alone, though it apparently appears as so many individuals, so many beings, as though it is divided. So There may be hundreds of pots in the space, but space is still indivisible. In that way, there can be hundreds and thousands of beings. Consciousness is not divided. Consciousness is only one. And consciousness doesn't change by the size of the being. Please remember that. Like one pot is small, other drum is huge, both made up of mud, let us say. Now the pot space is this much, drum space is this much. One should not imagine consciousness like that. In the ant, there is small consciousness. In the elephant, there is big consciousness. In the dinosaur, there is very, very big consciousness. There are philosophies which believe this. Vedanta refutes this, saying it, what a illogical thing it is. If consciousness is having a size, it is perishable. It is infinite. How will infinity have size, and how will infinity ever be contained? Can one pot, however big, be contained whole space inside it? It is not possible. Infinite consciousness cannot be contained inside one. Everything else is in infinite consciousness. Infinite consciousness is not inside one. But we still say inside and outside only so that we understand that the consciousness is not some small little object inside this body. It is all pervasive. And also so that we can drop the attachment to the body and come to identify with that which enlivens this body. Now, as I had said last time in the class also, that destruction of the pot is not necessary to understand that there is one space. Same way, destruction of this body is not necessary to know that I am one consciousness. Destruction of body identification alone is necessary. So now, having said that, now if I am that infinite consciousness, how did I come to identify with only this one little body? So it is said that is because of ignorance. Now that is what the next mantra says. Shabdamaya vrito naiva tamasayati pushkare bhinne tamasi chaikatvam eka evanupashyati. So here he says that Shabdamaya avrito naiva tamasa yati. Shabdamaya. Shabdamaya is the different ways it is understood. So one means it is a maya of words, Shabdamaya. And maya of words here means the projecting power of the maya. So maya has two powers. Now suddenly where did maya come into picture now? That ignorance, what we see, what we have, is maya in the individual is called ignorance. I don't know who am I. That is ignorance of the self. And I misunderstand myself to be something else. That is called the misapprehension, the projection. So veiling, avarana, and projecting, vikshepa. Gurudev used to call it non-apprehension, misapprehension. Both these are powers of Maya. What is Maya? Power of Brahman. So that power of Supreme Brahman, which is my true nature, as though veils my own nature from myself and makes me appear as something else. Like the dreaming power in the waker veils the waker and projects a dream character, and then one feels I am that. So the dreamer, the dream world, dream characters are all projected by the waker's mind only, which has the power of dreaming. So how did I become, if I am infinite consciousness, how did I become this? I didn't become this. I am only appearing as this because of ignorance. Like the waker has not become the dream character. The waker is, on one hand, has forgotten it himself or herself, and on the other hand, projected oneself to be the dream character. So these two powers. So Shabdamaya means the projecting power. Because Shabdamaya means words. Words indicate objects, indicate the person, indicate the qualities. Nama, Rupa, Guna, all those are under words. So Shabdamaya means the projecting power. Now Shabdamaya means what? All the words, meaning all the names and forms. So Nama, when we say, word will always be indicating some Rupa. So Rupa means the form. So the forms are the projections. So that is one meaning of Shabdamaya, meaning all the projections. So all the beings and the five elements and this whole creation, all this is a projection. That is Shabdamaya. Second meaning of Shabdamaya is Shabda, which is Maya. Words, which are Maya. Words, they trap us like anything. How much with words power of words is very powerful. It can do so many things. People sometimes expect a particular word. You may express your answer or your opinion in any other form, in any other words, but that person who is stuck to those words, that person wants only that word. If you don't tell that word, gone. That person will not accept till then. So they are stuck. That is called Shabdamaya. Other meaning of Shabdamaya is Maya is only words. It doesn't exist. Oh, Swamiji, but we are facing the results of Maya. As long as we are identified with the BMI, it appears like that. But from Brahman's standpoint, what is Maya? It is only words. There is nothing, no Maya. In Brahman, there is no Maya. It's just some words. So, same way, even the forms that we see, there's a name attached to the form. So we have forgotten that that is only a word. It is not real. Suppose we say big wave, small wave, foam, bubble, lather. What is it? It's all water. The rest of it is only words. You can say pot, cup, pitcher, saucer. What is all that? Mud only. Mud in different forms, we are calling different names. But we forget the essence and then we get stuck in the words. That is what we are doing. We have forgotten that all this appearance of Brahman, like those two earlier analogies of the reflection and the pot space and outer space, very clear. Everything is appearance of the divine. But we have forgotten the divinity and we are stuck with name and form. And then based on that name and form, how much violence and how much selfishness and all kinds of things happening. So all that is a play of Maya, projection. So here he says, Shabda Maya Avrito. Covered by this delusory power of these words, meaning the projecting aspect, Naiva Tamasa, due to darkness, Yati Pushkare. Yati means to know, Janati. Pushkare, in the space. Pushkare means in the heart. Space here means the space of heart. Heart space. So in the heart space, that pure aham, I, that is there continuously, which is throbbing, that Atma, we don't know. That I am that infinite Atma, which is birthless, which is changeless, which is deathless. I don't know. Why I don't know? That is the point. It is in my own heart, but it is veiled, tamasa, by darkness of ignorance. And once it is veiled, then there's a projection, that is Shabdamaya. Like I don't know who I am as a waker, then I project myself as a dream creator and dream world and then the dream character and then identify with one dream character. And now I'm asking, who is the creator of the dream? Why did this dream creator create such a mess? If dream creator is doing everything, why am I suffering? Arey, that is because I've forgotten my nature as the dream waker. I've forgotten my nature as the dream creator. And I also forgot my nature as the whole dream world. I am one with all this. Only one dream character I'm identified with. Just imagine what I am and where I am identified with. From infinite consciousness to one. What a reduction it is. Now this appears very real. Luckily, this is not real. Luckily, the waker has not become the dream character. Otherwise, there will be big trouble. Somebody went to sleep as a human being, gets up as a donkey. Weird it will be. He's not become that. It's only an apparent reality. It's only appearance. So here it is. Shabdamaya avruto naiva tamasa yati pushkare. This is the cause of bondage. What? These two powers. Ignorance of the self, which veils the truth, and then projection of the not self. Then I think I am somebody else. The root cause of suffering is this. So now he says, Bhinne tamasicha ekatvam. When this ignorance is destroyed, then ekatvam, one sees only oneself. Eka eva anupashyati. Then one will only see the self everywhere. Anupashyati means to see continuously. Once one has the vision of the self, that remains. It will not go. Meaning establishment in the self. We are talking about Atmanishtha. That Atmanishtha destroys this ignorance. One will not fall back into delusion. Even if one may appear to be acting, doing so much of work, inspiring people, etc., nothing happens. That realization is there all the time. There is no danger, maybe I will forget. That is there in sadhana time, the mind can play all its tricks. Here one has gone beyond the mind and destroyed this ignorance. What is this ignorance actually? It is only absence of the self, absence of knowledge of who I am. Ignorance by itself is not a tangible entity. It is an absence. I don't know something, and the moment I know it, then it will be destroyed. That's what it says, Bhinne tamasi chaikatvam. So how is ignorance destroyed? Ignorance is destroyed by self-knowledge. Ignorance is not destroyed by any amount of karma. It is not destroyed by any amount of upasana also. Only jnana can remove ajnana. There was one, in Atma Bodh, one analogy comes, Shankaracharya gives that. So he says there is a cave, and that cave, it has been dark for many, many centuries together. So one day, a group of people decided that this cave, darkness has filled this cave for thousands of years. We have to remove this darkness. So they took their shovel and they took that, what they call that vessel where they collect mud, that they took that and everything, and they went, and what are they doing? They are as though trying to push that darkness out. They're trying to throw the darkness out as though one can take sand and throw it out. Like that, one is taking darkness and throwing it out. Now one queen was passing by that side, and this queen thought, what are these people doing? So she went inside and she said, what are you doing? Says, this cave has been dark for thousands of years. We are trying to remove this darkness. And there are so many people there who are working so hard. That queen smiled. She says, Arey, what are you doing? I can remove this darkness in a second. She says, what? Thousands of years of darkness you will remove in 1 second? I said, yes. Okay, go and get this. So she had asked for a receptacle, some wick, some oil, some matchstick and all that. And when they got everything, she put together a lamp and she lit the lamp, and there the whole cave was illumined. Darkness gone. Now that analogy seems to be very, one feels what a stupid thing this is. How can somebody throw darkness out through any amount of action? Darkness has to come, it has to go through light. But we are doing that stupidity, what others are doing. What those people were trying to do, doing action. So we are trying to remove ignorance through action. How it will go? Full time our mind goes on doing so many actions and wants to plan, execute, go here, do this, become that, get this, in the hope of becoming fulfilled, that I will be happy one day, permanently happy. It will never happen, because action by itself is jada. Action by itself is limited. It will give only limited result, and that result also will perish. How will I experience infinite happiness with any amount of action? Oh, then why should I do action? I will not do any action. That also one can't do. One can't sit quietly doing nothing, and the mind will not allow us to do that also. In very few minutes, we will start searching, where is my phone? What should I do? Whom should I call? What should I wear? Where should I go? It won't sit quietly. Toughest thing is to just sit quietly. Only a Mahatma who abides in the self can sit quietly. Others may be able to sit quietly for some time, preoccupying the mind with some sadhana or some support or something to think about. But still, that is thought. It is subtler action than gross action. It is still action only. So when it is said karma will not destroy, only jnana will destroy. Bhinne tamasi. Now to destroy that jnana, what has to be done? Anupashyati is the word. Anu also means afterwards. Afterwards means after going to a guru, when we listen to the Mahavakya and Vedant from the guru, we reflect upon it, then we contemplate upon it, then the knowledge will arise. That knowledge will destroy this ignorance. And once that knowledge destroys this ignorance, one sees the self continuously. One sees everything at all times as the self. Including the so-called sinners also, the Mahatma sees only as the self. Even the disciple, the Mahatma sees only as the self. No difference in the vision. Transactional reality, one may have certain difference. Each one will be treated appropriately and help them to evolve. But vision is all our appearance of oneself. Anupashyataha. Anupashyati here. So anupashyati means that one is to go to the guru, listen, reflect, contemplate, and then one will continuously see only the self. This is also the guarantee that there is no return to the state of delusion after realization. Hence, that state is worth striving for. If there is a chance that, okay, Swamiji, I put so much of effort, hard work, and I somehow managed to reach the self and discover, what is the guarantee that I will not forget? What is the guarantee that I will not fall back into the wrong notion that I am this body? This is a guarantee. Upanishad says, Bhinne tamasi, when this ignorance is destroyed forever, how it will be destroyed? By bringing knowledge through this process, Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasan. So, Bhinne tamasi chaikatvam eka eva anupashyati. One alone. Though one may see different forms, but the vision is all this is appearance of one. Like we may see different waves, we may see different ornaments, but our vision is this is water alone, this is gold alone, and one will never be deluded after that. Even it happens in this optical illusions. So suppose there is a picture, now you have to stare at it. So it is a very, it appears as there is nothing sensible there. But if you stare at it very clearly, you see your own reflection inside that, and you focus on the reflection, not on the actual picture. If you focus on the reflection, suddenly from the picture there is a 3D image that appears. Maybe Omkar, maybe Gayatri Devi, maybe some animal, whatever it may be. Initially one can't see that. But once one sees, next time one doesn't have to put so much of effort. Effortlessly one sees, oh, this is a 3D Om. Like that, effortlessly, the Mahatma lives in that Om, lives in that pure conscious state. So this is the cause for the sorrow. Why is it that though I am one, there is so much of bondage and I feel limited, though I am one infinite consciousness? It is because of ignorance, and that ignorance will lead to false projection, So the solution is not to reduce the projections alone. The solution is to destroy ignorance. What happens is avarana and vikshepa, in that we try to reduce vikshepa, reduce the quantity of thoughts. If I reduce only quantity of thoughts, temporary peace I will get. But I am still limited being. So the relief methods can be many. Cure is only one. That one has to destroy the root cause, and that root cause here is ignorance. Otherwise, we are focused on the relief methods, so many relief methods. Now here, one very interesting point is Shabda Maya is written here. So this Shabda Maya, as we saw, when we use the words can be to strengthen our ego, it can be hurt others, it can be to appreciate others, it can be for many purposes we use the words. And we get bound in that. So the power of words is a Maya, it binds us. But the power of the Guru's words liberate us. So it is the Guru, Anupashyati, when it is said. The Guru also uses words, the scripture also uses words. But the power of those words is that it will lift the mind to that state of infinite reality. And that's why the importance of going to the teacher, learning from the teacher, understanding, clearing the doubts, then contemplating, and then going beyond. Now, having said this, that nature of the self is absolute peace, and that is what we all seek. We don't want temporary peace. So the next mantra tells us about that absolute peace. Shabdaksharam param brahma tasmin kshine yadaksharam tadvidvan aksharam dhyayet yadichet shantim atmanaha. Yadichet shantim. If one wants peace, everyone wants peace. But we have a lot of wrong notions about peace. Some people say, what is peace? Absence of conflict means peace. Like we say, ignorance is what? Absence of knowledge is ignorance. But the state of knowledge we cannot say is only absence of ignorance. State of knowledge is a positive state of awareness, consciousness, bliss, existence, consciousness, bliss. It is Sachidananda Swarup. It is not merely absence of ignorance. Ignorance is absence of knowledge, but knowledge is not only absence of ignorance. Same way, peace is not only absence of conflict. Peace is a state in spite of conflicts. It exists. Positive state it is there. So we cannot say peace is only absence of conflict. Or sometimes one says peace means, when suppose one goes to cremation ground, then one sees the body burning and then one feels so disillusioned that, oh, what is this? All this life is finally ending in this. Hard work and so much one acted and did this, that, achievements, family, money, power, position, and finally, body is burnt. So for some time that mind has what we call smashana vairagya. And if you go to a smashan, when the body etc. is burning, then there are some people who are there when it starts, and as the body, it will take a long time for the body to burn. Then people slowly start going away. Even that person who is the undertaker there, or whoever is the, dome, we call him, dome. That person will also say, you go, I will collect the ashes and the asthi, the bones, and keep, you come and take after some time. Nowadays, people have electric crematoriums, it happens much faster. So when everybody leaves, there is a eerie silence as though there. No disturbance. That is not the Shanti we want, Smashana Shanti, or just absence of conflict, or the gap between two conflicts. The peace that we want is Atmanaha. Yadichet Shantim Atmanaha. The peace of deep sleep, the peace of cremation ground, the peace of absence of conflict, gap between two conflicts, or even the peace of sadhana when one makes the mind consciously quiet through sadhana, japa, puja, etc. Even that peace of mind is not real peace. It is important. That peace is helpful, no doubt. Without that peace, we cannot realize. But that is not the self, the peace that we seek. We want what? Atmana Shanti, the peace of the self. That is what is called peace that passeth beyond all understanding. It is absolute peace. So the Upanishad says, Yadi Ichet, if you seek this. The Upanishad is very clear. If you don't seek this, then you continue what you want. Upanishad doesn't have any problem. There is no fanaticism here that everybody, thou shalt seek peace and peace alone. Arey, you cannot force this. Somebody wants conflict, let them go. It's very interesting if we actually think about it. How many of us really want peace? Though it is an inborn demand in all of us, we do seek only that absolute peace, but majority we are not aware of that. We don't seek peace. We want some excitement, we want some thrill, we want some agitation, conflict, something to fight, something to oppose. If nothing is there, one feels, what an empty life, it is boring. So one creates more and more conflicts for that. How much really one wants peace? Even at relative level, I'm talking, forget at absolute level, that anyway is the demand of all of us, but majority not aware. Even at relative level, the peace of mind, how much can one sustain that peace of mind? It requires a lot of sattva guna to even have that peace of mind and sustain that peace of mind and live and operate from that peace of mind. Otherwise, one is very interested in creating conflicts and controversies and breaking news and all that. But the fact is, all development can happen only when even there is relative peace. Economic growth can happen only if there is relative peace. Spiritual growth, cultural depth, beauty, innovation, all that can happen only if there is peace. We have to ask ourselves, I value what more? Do I value peace more or do I value agitation more? That one simple question, if we ask ourselves, so many conflicts we will stop. Unnecessary troubles we create in relationship, trying to prove I am right and you are wrong. In that, the ego only we want to win, the ego has to win. One is not even wanting to adjust with the other, understand the other's opinion, try to have differences of opinion and yet be harmonious. Conflict, fights, breakups, divorce, what all keeps happening. If I really want peace and I want this relationship to be harmonious, it should grow well, and I value that person, I will be ready to adjust also. I will be ready to accommodate. I will be ready to let go. If I really want peace. So that is very important, that why is peace necessary? All creativity, growth, love, happiness, everything can be experienced only in a peaceful mind. And only such a mind can also do spiritual sadhana and transcend the mind and realize the absolute peace. That's why the word yadi ichet. Yadi ichet. If you seek peace. And which peace? Atmana Shanti. Then what you should do? He says Shabdaksharam Param Brahma. This Shabdaksharam here means Omkar. So this Omkar is the sound symbol of the Supreme. We have seen this in the earlier mantra. The shortest and the subtlest sound symbol is Omkar. The most powerful mantra in the entire Vedic literature is Omkar. The primordial sound of the whole creation is Omkar. That's why it is called Shabda Akshara. Shabdaksharam Param Brahma. And that Akshara is not just alphabet. That's why it says Shabdaksharam Param Brahma. Shabda is made from akshara. Alphabet makes words. And those words represent forms. So this whole creation is a play of words and sound. And the basic sound vibration is a, u, ma. A pervades all sounds. So a, u and ma, they pervade this entire creation. So Omkar is Shabda Brahma. It is Saguna Brahma. It is considered as the very sound that pervades this entire universe, not just as mere sound. The sound indicates the absolute, that absolute pervades this whole creation. So first meaning is that Shabdaksharam Param Brahma. Tasmin Kshine Yad Aksharam. And if what does that Shabdakshara indicate? That is beyond perception. Yad Aksharam. So Parabrahma and Akshara Brahma. Akshara Brahma here means that state beyond the Omkar also. Omkar is only a pointer, the subtlest pointer. What is that state indicated by that word? So by chanting Om, 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 when one meditates, when one makes the mind quiet, then that state which Omkar is indicating of that Parabrahma is beyond that sound also. Yasmin tasmin kshine yad aksharam. Tad vidwan aksharam dhyayet. So the vidwan must contemplate on that akshara Brahma through this Shabda Brahma. And at one point drop that Shabda Brahma. Even that Omkar chanting will become from loud chanting to slow chanting to mental chanting, no chanting. Then what happened? Gone beyond thought. From many different thoughts about different things to one thought about Om to no thought. Not a blank state. That's why this going to the Guru, listening, reflecting, contemplation is important. That Omkar is not only some sound, which today many people have reduced it to only sound. Oh, Swamiji, I don't want form, I will just chant Om. Why? Because it doesn't take, I don't need to have any Shraddha in that. It's a sound symbol to quieten my mind. It is not only some sound, inert sound. It is Brahma, pure consciousness, infinite consciousness. And we should be able to identify with that infinite consciousness. It's a very subtle upasana to do. Not everybody is even capable of it. That's why the Upanishads, they say that yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti. Desiring which people do live in brahmacharya for such a long time to make that buddhi sharp. Then they take up Omkar sadhana. And it's not some sound or uma. Each of them have such depth. Means when we chant Om and say we identify with the whole universe as our body, not this one body. When we say U, then the entire total body, subtle body is me, not this one small mind. Ma, entire causal body, Ishvara, I am not this Jiva, I am one with Ishvara. Then the Amatra Om, that is the silence, that is Akshara Brahma. Then there is no Jiva, no Jagat, no Ishvara, that infinite consciousness alone is I am that. That is the Omkar Upasana. How many can do that? Today we are just using Om to just make the mind quiet for some time. That's all we are using Om for. Which is why it is important to get initiated from a Guru. Go to the Guru, listen, reflect, contemplate, and do the Upasana as mentioned in the Upanishads to realize Brahman. That's why he says, Yadi Ichet Shantim Atmana. If one doesn't want, even just want some relative peace of mind, keep chanting Om, that is good. It will give some relative peace of mind. But if I want Atma, then I have to go beyond Om. Between the two Om chanting is that gap. Beautiful this, how Gurudev used to explain, Once he was standing on the railway platform and the train is going, that very early days. So these compartments are there. when the train goes fast, so compartment gap. So between the compartment you see through. The person who was standing next to Gurudev, we said, see, one compartment after the other is going, and in between you can see what is beyond. When you chant a mantra, between the two mantras, see what is beyond. You will realize consciousness. On the railway platform, Brahmagyan Upadesh is happening straight. That person is stunned. He was standing there. He is worried about train has to come. Will the coach come on the right place or not? And then Swamiji has to be taken there, and then luggage has to be taken. Gurudev is standing there, and his mind immediately thinks of that. Between two homes, you can peep through. That's what Upanishad is saying here. Tadvidvan aksharam dhyayet. I know it used to be a lot of fun when we used to go as children also in the train. So we go to the railway platform, and then sometimes we are on this side, half the family is on this side, other half has gone that side. So then one group is moving like this, one group is moving like this, and the train is in between. So through that we will communicate. Children. So like that it is said here, Brahman. In the beginning, our attention is only on the mantra chanting, and we focus on the chanting of the mantra, the sound, and allow the mind to be focused on it. Don't allow it to be distracted. Then slowly, the attention shifts from the fast chanting, make it slow, then make it soft. And then the gap one increases. And after some time, one focuses only on the silence. Before the Om, silence. During Om, silence. After Om, silence. And the person then focuses that I am that observer who is witnessing the sound rising, staying, falling. I am not this Omkar. I am not this mind. I am not the chanter. That is called Tadvidvan Aksharam Dhyayet. The person meditates on that infinite consciousness, which is a substratum. And after some time, chanting only stops. All this verbalization also stops. You know what Gurudev used to do in one of his early sadhana, early days in yajnas, he used to do this Omkar chanting. Okay, and one method he writes even in this self-unfoldment and in meditation in life also. So he says you do japa, you do chanting of Om. So one method is what I said just now, from fast to slow to soft, and then increase the gap and focus on the silence more than the sound, and then one will come to realize. Other method he would say is chant Om, 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 Om continuously and fast, and suddenly put a halt. No thought after that. One will go into the state of samadhi. Both methods. One method is complete slowing down. Other method is you take it to the peak and chant Om, 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 then immediately stop at a particular time when the tempo is very, very high and continuously the mind is only thinking of Om. Just stop. Verbally one is chanting loudly and then just stop. That is called shock treatment. You benumb the mind. That's Gurudev uses the word is benumb. The mind gets benumbed because there's no thought then. You just immediately stop it. Either methods, one has to realize that beyond the sound is the state. So, Tadvidvan Aksharam Dhyayet Yadichet Shantim Atmanaha. This is Atma Shanti. That Shanti which once we experience, it will never go. That is the Shanti which destroys this ignorance of the self. And so, here he says that is the way to realize. So, Omkar Upasana had come earlier also. Again also it comes here. And this person comes to experience. The wise person, Vidwan Aksharam Dhyayet. Please remember this, there is no bypassing possible. When it is said Shabdaksharam Param Brahma, if one says that, if anyway I have to drop all sounds, I'll drop now only. I won't chant only Omkar. I just say I am Brahman. That will not work because the mind right now is in a state of deep identification. So it has to be brought out of that. So the Omkar chanting has to continuously happen and the mind has to be lifted from its identification. And then when it is lifted, then one can stop Om. One goes beyond. So now, when this is said, technically this is the sadhana is done, sadhana process has been explained, the knowledge has been explained. Technically Upanishad should be over by now. But some more verses are there to explain to us that some people have this question that why should we study so much? What is the use? Let me just do one sadhana, that's all. See, especially when it is born out of this not wanting to put the effort. One wants the highest gain with least effort. You think about it, how much effort people have to put right now, this Commonwealth Games and all that is going on. How much effort they have to put to get that gold medal in that? Not easy at all. Olympics and all, one starts preparing 4, 5 years. Then one gets into that Olympics, even qualifies and then gets some medal there. Even sometimes one qualifies, doesn't get. How much hard work for finite result? One wants infinity, but one doesn't want to put the effort. Or one doesn't want to put the effort in the way it should be put. One wants to do the way one wants to do. One feels like. This is a proper science. In science, we don't compromise, but here in religion, we compromise. So some people ask, what is the use of spiritual knowledge? What is the use of even so much I'm studying? If realization is beyond all words and sound and Atma Shanti is what we are seeking, then why should I even do anything? So the next mantra is for that. Dve vidye veditavye tu shabda brahma param chayat shabda brahmani nishnataha param brahmadhigacchati. So if you remember Mundakopanishad, Mandukya Upanishad and this Amritabindu Upanishad, they are all from this Atharva Veda. Even Prashna Upanishad. And this Upanishad, because it belongs to Atharva Veda and one of the 10 major Upanishads is Mundaka Upanishad. In that Mundaka Upanishad, the description of 2 types of knowledge is there. The student has gone to the teacher and asked, please teach me that knowing which everything will be known. So what is that knowing which everything will be known? Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Look at that question. What a brilliant question is that. What is that knowing which everything will be known? One subject only we can't know properly. How to know that knowing which everything will be known? And the teacher says, there are 2 types of vidyas. That is what is described here. Dve vidye veditavye. Our scriptures, they describe 2 knowledges should be known. Veditavya. What are they? Shabda Brahma Param Chayat. Shabda Brahma is one knowledge, Param Brahma is other knowledge. There it is called Para Vidya, Apara Vidya and Para Vidya. Apara Vidya means secular knowledge. Even Vedic knowledge comes under Apara Vidya. It's very interesting there. So I'm going to just share one chart here quickly of this division of knowledge. This is a Hindu knowledge chart. See this. So here you will find knowledge is divided into 2, Apara Vidya and Para Vidya. Apara Vidya has all this. Secular knowledge is all the physics, chemistry, biology, maths, all this is secular knowledge. That I have not mentioned here. That itself has so many branches. Then sacred knowledge also. So there it is said, Yaya tad aksharam adhigamyate, that is Para Vidya. Otherwise, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, Samaveda, and all the 6 Vedangas, everything comes under Apara Vidya, lower knowledge, which is intellectual knowledge. So that lower knowledge also is divided into, so Vedic sacred knowledge divided into Shruti, the Vedic knowledge, and Smritis. Shrutis are eternal principles, Smritis are the application of those eternal principles. Shrutis don't change, Smriti changes by time. So this Shruti has 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. 6 Vedangas, Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandasa, Jyotisha. And 4 Upavedas, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Sthapatya Shastra and Artha Shastra together. These 14 are called Chaturdasha Vidyasthan, the 14 abodes of knowledge in Sanatana Dharma. Each Veda also has 3 divisions, Karma Kand, Upasana Kand, Jnana Kand. So Karma is divided into Mantra and Brahmana, Upasana is also called Aranyaka, and then Jnana Kand is the Upanishads. This is the Vedic literature. Then the Smritis are, look at this division here. All the Dharma Shastras, including Bhagavad Gita, is a Smriti. Puranas, 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. Itihasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Nibandha Granthas, 45 of them. Agama Shastra, Shaiva Agama, Shiva scriptures, Vaishnava Agama, Vishnu scriptures, Shakta Agama, Surya Agama, Ganapatya Agama. Then Darshan Shastra, 6 schools of philosophy, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. Then comes the Niti Granthas, all this politics and everything. This entire realm is called Apara Vidya. Just imagine, the scripture itself is saying, Veda itself is saying, this is Apara Vidya. Then what is Para Vidya? Intuitive self-knowledge is called Para Vidya. I will post this on the WhatsApp group, so don't worry, you will get this knowledge chart. But important it is to understand what heights of knowledge and what depths and what widths our great masters have accomplished. And we are looking at other countries and other places to gain more knowledge. Not that we should not learn from them, but we have forgotten our glory, our past, our great heritage. What depth of knowledge is there in this? And there was no spirituality versus science in our culture. Religion versus science. Everything is embedded within the dharmic aspect. This science versus spirituality, religion versus science is a Western concept. And then we have got carried away by that unnecessarily. In Sanatana Dharma, science is also a part of spiritual knowledge only. It's an objective science. It cannot explain the nature of the self. We can use science for external world. We can use science to certain extent understand creation. But beyond that, nothing more. Now, using that science to validate whether spiritual science is valid or not is a stupid process, actually. That's because in other countries and other places, religion is separate and only talks about certain philosophies. Here, everything is integrated together. And all this, the Upanishad itself is saying is Apara Vidya, meaning it has a relevance, secular knowledge, spiritual knowledge, even the sadhanas, the upasana, you saw that. So Omkar Upasana, all that comes under lower knowledge. Oh, then why should I gain it? Because if I gain that knowledge, I can work in the world, I can do my duties with the dedication to Bhagavan, and the combination is always together. Spiritual and secular knowledge go together. That's our culture. Gurukul system, both were going hand in hand. So that when a person comes out of the Gurukul, one knows not only how to earn the living, but one is anchored in Dharma, one has the clarity of goal of life. So one will gain this knowledge, work in the world, do Karma Yoga, do Upasana, purify the mind, and then when a person is ready, one goes to the Guru, listens to Brahmagyan, reflects, contemplates. When that person contemplates and goes beyond the sounds, beyond the words, and intuitive realization happens, that intuitive realization of the self is called Para Vidya. Till then, it is intellectual information. The way to make that intellectual information into intuitive realization is the process of sadhana. And that Upanishad has described beautifully. From the beginning, it has been saying about detachment from the objects and all that. Step by step, all sadhanas have been given. If one follows those sadhanas, then what will happen? Shabda Brahma Param Chayat. Shabda Brahmani Nishnataha. When a person goes beyond the sounds and the words, Param Brahma Adhigachati. One will experience that Supreme Brahman. That does not mean that this knowledge is useless. No. This knowledge is what will help me to realize that intuitive. Without intellectual knowledge and clarity, one cannot experience intuitive knowledge. Intuitive realization will not happen. And so when we do this whole process with the right vision, we gain the secular knowledge, we work in the field in which we are made for, that is our Swadharma, dedicate that to Bhagwan, choose one Ishta Devata, do Upasana regularly while doing Karma Yoga, keep both this hand in hand, and when one walks the path for a few years like that, Rajoguna will reduce, Vikshepa will reduce, wandering of the mind will reduce, impurities will be removed. Then one goes to the teacher. Listen, reflect, contemplate. That contemplation will take a person to samadhi. There intuitive realization happens. That state is called Parabrahma here. How will one come to that? Shabda Brahmani Nishnataha. When one transcends means one uses it and drops it at the right time. Not that one will not use it at all. Not that, oh, it's all useless. It's all. So many people, they say that, oh, this is all Apara Vidya. So they don't want to study. They don't have clarity. Then what the mind is doing? Indulging. That time it is not striking that even that indulgence is Apara Vidya only. That's how Maya tricks us. But a person who is alert knows, okay, this secular knowledge has a relevance for me to do Karma Yoga. So I don't have to lose myself in secular knowledge. And spiritual knowledge also is to help me to realize the self. What was said earlier, no? Atma Shanti. I want Atma Shanti. Secular knowledge and my duties, etc., will prepare me, will give me enough vairagya that enough I have seen in this world. There is no peace here, there is no happiness here. Now I want to realize the self. That Atma Shanti, the demand for that will grow. Then one can even drop that secular knowledge and focus only on spiritual knowledge and sadhana, and then slowly even that one will drop when the realization, intuitive realization happens. So that's where we will stop for today. And next week will be our last class, because now we are on 17th. So there are only 4 mantras left. 5, including 18. So 5 mantras, we can cover them in the next class. So most probably it will be the last class. We will conclude the text.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you very much. We will now have the Aarti.
आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरती सद्गुरु की चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए पाप ताप संताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया, शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्धबाड़ी की तपो भूमि में नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे, भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Sheila ji had one question. You have to unmute her and then let her ask.
Okay, Swami. Malati Sriyan also has a question.
Yeah, Sheila ji asked first on the group.
Hello, Swamiji, pranams.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. I understand regarding that my thoughts make my world. I also understand intellectually that the dream world is the projection of my mind. What I yet cannot understand is the physical world of, be it objects or be it, for example, mountains, oceans, lakes, a railway platform, a building, a tree. How is that a projection of my mind? Because I feel they are there. I mean, a tree is there, a railway platform is there, a mountain is there. How can that be a projection of my mind? The mental part, I totally understand. But this physical part, I'm not able to understand. Can you please help me?
So it is natural to feel this because our body identification is very strong. When we say it is a projection of my mind, it is not my mind. Who is the my there? It is not the individual. In the dream example, the dream character is not projecting the dream world. The dreamer is projecting the dream world, right? And I am the dreamer. Right now, what I'm trying to do is, I as a dream character, I'm trying to understand how is this dream world my projection, because my identification is only with this. So I'm thinking I am this. I am not this dream character. I am the dreamer, the dream creator. I am that. And beyond that, I am the waker. So it has to be a shift in my identification. If I don't shift the identification, naturally it will not happen. Then obviously it is not my projection, because then mountains and rivers and everything, how can it be my projection? That is not what Vedanta is anyway saying. The locus there is not the individual. The locus there is the total. So as Ishvara, it is my projection. And I am that Ishvara, which is what Vedanta is saying. And beyond that Ishvara, I am Brahman. So waker is Brahman, dreaming power is Maya. Using that dreaming power, the waker has now become the dream creator, that is Ishvara. Now the dream creator is creating the whole dream world, that is samsara. In that dream world, there are so many dream characters. One of them dream characters is I, the Jiva. So I, one Jiva, is seeing so many other characters, so many other Jivas and the mountains and rivers and all that in the dream world. Now obviously that one dream character of the Jiva has not created this whole thing. It is the dream creator. I am that. That is what it is. The shift is from the individual to the total to beyond. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.